Yep, 30 health this time. So it's a good in between from 6 to 8. I guess that's given because of basic counting there. But regardless, we're already off into this match. We got some really consistent quick pressures from both of the players right now. Oh, that's cool insight, Peter. I didn't know that. It's cool to see that people do want to practice on those higher levels, because it does help in the long run, because it really pushes you to play faster. I used to be scared of level 10 for the longest time. Like, I was actually looking at videos earlier today from like old GDQs. Our first one we had was SGDQ 2015. And our grand finals were players in the seasonal tournament that finished like 4th and 5th and stuff, but we were playing on level 8. And matches were still ending in reasonable times. So, people just got a lot better. Even now, when we thought we were the best of the best at the time. But yeah, as I mentioned in one of the earlier rounds, this game is definitely far from mastered. You can become the best with just a little bit of practice. GreenKnight in a little bit of trouble there. He managed to get his blocks down just in time. And Vyce is going to do just the same. They both have some pretty high stacks now, so let's see who gets this decisive chain here and probably takes the lead. It's weird, Peter. Level 10's interesting. I'll talk about that in just a second, but yeah, GreenKnight just didn't have any reasonable clears to find pretty fast there, so Vyce taking the 1-0 lead. But yeah, level 8, especially on panel attack, because it is a lot different from the actual games, especially if you're comparing it directly to Tetris Attack. Level 10 is actually, like, it's kind of brutal in Tetris Attack still because the timings are the same, but the lag makes so much of a difference. Like, we had so many timer max outs in the one tournament that we hosted for it. But it's like, it's brutal to where you can just die instantly, and it's hard to set up chains. But then, once you're used to that and you go back down to a lower level, you play level 8 and your rounds are lasting 6+ minutes. I like level 10 just for the fact, though, that it really does test you. It keeps your brain constantly thinking, and you gotta react or else you're dead. Ooh, GreenKnight a little bit too quick on the clear there. Luckily, he wasn't topped off, though. Alright, he's got a lot of blocks to deal with, but he's got to eventually find where his clear is going to be on the garbage blocks at the top. He's going to drop down and do the 4 combo and drop the greens afterwards. So that was a pretty smart play. Found him enough stop time to eventually go back over to the left side and clear the garbage. But I think he's still going to be topped off at least for a little while here. Oh, he gets those purples over with 2 health left, man. Narrowly escaping. If that would have been level 8, that would have been his life gone. But because of that, he doesn't have any more pressure at the top there. Vyce kind of gave it to him all at once and couldn't find really too much of a follow-up afterwards. So GreenKnight could definitely turn this around. Once he gets this top clear and gets the last 4 lines of garbage blocks, if he gets there, this is going to give him a lot of ammunition to work with and maybe take the lead in this match. But he's got the 2 towers, and he's not going to be able to find a clear immediately. So Vyce now taking a 2-0 lead. Alright, this could maybe be the start that GreenKnight wants. Gets a 4 chain. He was maybe looking to do something at the bottom there. He would have had to do a slide to connect the greens together. Still a pretty good starter, and he's going to have room to raise his blocks in the meantime. With Vyce not sending too much to begin with, but now they're both pretty even again. Alright, here comes Vyce with a big chain now. He's got the 6. Was maybe looking to do some kind of a swap last second to extend that. But a 6 will be well enough to put GreenKnight in some danger right now. And luckily for GreenKnight, he had one row of leeway at the top, or else he could have been dead there. Because it did take him a little while to find his next swap, and he didn't have an immediate chain drop from the cleared garbage. Vyce doing some more pressure, but GreenKnight was able to clear a lot of his blocks and downstack pretty well. So now this is pretty even again. Vyce with the slightest bit of a lead, but GreenKnight's been doing a good job when he has been trying to lower his stack. He has found like 2 chains and a couple combos, so sending pressure in between here. Now Vyce in a little bit of trouble. He's got to be careful with that top left stack. Drops the purple down to find that 4 combo with the reds. So now he is looking a little bit safe right now. He's going to go for a big chain here, though. Here's the 5, here's the 6, the 7, maybe an 8 with the greens, maybe 9 with the yellows. Now he's just going to drop it immediately. And, you know, this is going to be decisive, and that's what you want in this match right now, because most of the players have just been trying to survive with the room that they have. And just like that, that big chain's going to do it. Vyce now with a 3-0 lead. That's the weird thing about going to higher levels when you're not used to them, because it's harder to survive, but it's also harder to do chains. So a lot of people can survive just because they're not sending the biggest chains to their opponent, so they're able to like downstack pretty well, clear the garbage, try to set up something big. But as soon as you saw with that last one, Vyce with that 8 chain, as soon as he made that, put GreenKnight in immediate pressure, he tried to find a clear, and it was just too much for him. Alright, Vyce looking to get something started there. He had the blues. He wanted to go for that drop in between. Couldn't get there in enough time, and now GreenKnight looking for a little bit of a chain. Ooh, very nice swap at the last second there with the yellows. So putting a little bit of pressure on Vyce now. He's got to wait a little while to clear this. Oh yeah, for sure. Going from like a higher level to a lower level, you're able to find chains more easily and survive. It's hard to find the perfect balance to this game in terms of like duration wise. That's the one thing that kind of holds it back in an aspect. Like comparing it to Puyo Puyo, because Puyo Puyo is like probably my favorite puzzle esport, not including my like puzzle league bias. And it's because, you know, usually at high level it's the first person to either like harass pretty well to knock off their opponent, or the person who sends the bigger chain. But they're consistent match times, and it's hard to get that in this game. Like, you can set like a general rule set. It's entertaining regardless. Like, I don't think anyone will argue with that. The skill that these guys show is insane. But sometimes it's hard to find that time balance, and that's what holds us back. And my bad, Vyce did not win that game. GreenKnight won that. GreenKnight was putting on some good pressure for the duration of that match, and Vyce had to scan across his entire board to try to find that clear. So, a little bit slow on that. GreenKnight takes it, and he's finally on the board. Oh, I get what you're saying. Yeah, with the way the panels fall slower. I think it's just how much you adjust to it, because there are certain people that they get a feel for a level, and then they can play to that level, you know, after like a minute or so warming up. But then you have people like Blenzer. He told me this specifically after the seasonal tournament. He played on level 8 just because he didn't want to be, like, since it was, like, a proper tournament, he wanted, you know, the best results possible. Because level 8 versus level 10, it's pretty easy to lose on level 10. But he said he was dropping so many things on level 8 because he's not used to the timing. And it's a lot slower, so he's probably trying to hurry things. Not to mention, for me personally, I've always had a trouble doing more consistent chains on this kind of engine. Vyce getting really close there, by the way, with 11 health, but he found the clear just in time. But the timing between Tetris Attack and Puzzle League is a lot different, and it was like really hard for me when I started doing speedruns for Tetris Attack to get used to that, and I still struggle with it a lot because I have way more hours in Puzzle League than in Tetris Attack. So yeah, timings with levels, with the engines, it's really, really hard to adjust to. And that's what makes it cool to see different games, because there's people who can excel at one game and not at the other. I've definitely seen matchups in different tournaments where someone will beat someone in Puzzle League, but then lose to him in Tetris Attack. But I like that, you know? Before I get into that a little bit more, Vyce taking this next game. Only one game away from taking the set right now. But I like that. In terms of like old games like this that are trying to survive or like make a comeback in the scenes, I embrace change. Oh, that was a little bit of a stutter. Looks like we're good now though. But I embrace the change because it makes the game, mixes it up a lot and makes it more fun to play. And so, you know, I appreciate that Panel Attack's looking to try to replicate like exactly on the Tetris Attack engine. But if it ever comes to the point where they want to embrace a lot different changes and progress it kind of into a new game, I would be welcoming that, because I had a lot of fun with Super Plexus when it came out. It was a whole new thing. That game still needs a lot of work, as they've been doing a lot for it right now, in terms of like time for them as well. But it was so cool, just like playing the game differently. You know, it has vertical swaps and horizontal swaps and the power-ups. It made the game a lot different to play, and it was just fresh. Not saying that this game needs power-ups or like vertical swaps, but it's cool to see the engines change, basically. Yeah, FFR is a pretty good example of that. Which is still a little bit funny, because I like to use him and me as an example. Vyce barely didn't get to that clear in enough time. GreenKnight's hanging on just a little bit. But, I'm kind of a little bit of that example too, to where I struggle in Tetris Attack, and Puzzle League tournaments I've done generally better in. What match are we on? We are on 7. Yeah, don't want to play the wrong match like before. You could argue the Panel Attack tournaments have been a little bit more stacked than in-person tournaments, but in my only in-person Tetris Attack tournament at a GDQ, I got 4th place in. But all the Puzzle League tournaments I've been in, I've never finished lower than 2nd place. So yeah, engines can really mess with someone. And FFR is the same way. He's won 2 Puzzle League tournaments, and then he's gotten a 5th and a 4th in the Panel Attack tournaments, and a 2nd in a Tetris Attack in-person tournament. But anyways, let's try to commentate on some more action, because I've kind of went on a tangent for most of this match, and it is pretty close right now, because Vyce is just 1 game away. But Vyce with a really weird stack right now, he's not going to be able to downstack too much. He's got to find a clear, and this is super awkward for him right now. He's got the purples perfectly lined up. Does not see it, though, and that's going to cost him his life. Yeah, sometimes I think he was just a little bit tunnel vision there. He was just focusing on trying to clear that middle block. And so he dropped the purple block, in which he had 3 in a row lined up. And that cost him his life. GreenKnight making a little bit of a comeback right now. He's won 2 in a row. All he's got to do is win 2 more in a row, and he can take this set. Oh, you don't have to apologize for that, Peter. I go in tangents all the time. But, yeah, let's see if Vyce can bounce back. He has been getting pretty good pressure most of the time, especially with what he did there. I think he's going to have a lot of layered garbage coming up here. Yeah, 3 separated lines. I guess GreenKnight's going to be able to clear that pretty easily once he finds it. That was a little bit scary, though, because he didn't get to that initial garbage in time. So now he's going to be able to clear a majority of this, but Vyce, as you saw, just raised his stack, and now he's looking for a pretty big chain here to try to take a lead. Both players with pretty high stacks right now. GreenKnight looking for a clear. He doesn't see his blues. He saw it there right at the end. I saw his cursor moving. But he didn't have a lot of room to work with. He was just... I think he was scanning his first new row that was going to pop up to see if anything would have came up there. But, yeah, just the little time to work with there. Vyce bounced back after dropping those 2 straight. And he does take the match there 5-3. That was a pretty close match at the beginning. Because I think Vyce was up 3-0 at the beginning of that. So